Good morning. My name is Sister Kim Herndon, and welcome to Morning Meditations. Get ready to be blessed by one of the ministers of the gospel. Be blessed.
Good morning. Welcome to Compassion's Morning Meditation. My name is Dr. Jasmine Johnson, and our scripture reference for today is found in Psalms 27, verse 13, and it reads, "Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness while I am here in the land of the living." If I were to give today a title, it would be Remaining Confident in This. The psalmist David is proposed to be the author of this chapter, which begins with David expressing his deep confidence in God to then pleading for God to rescue him. David begins this chapter by recalling reasons why he should be confident in God. The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my fortress. The Lord will conceal me when trouble comes. Then almost immediately, David transitions to pleas for God to rescue him from his enemies. I don't know about you, but I found myself in a similar position as David. Perhaps I began the day confident in God, confident in his sovereignty and his power, and perhaps midway through the day, life begins to hit, and I'm no longer settled in my confidence in God, but instead I find myself pleading for rescue. Perhaps as the day progresses, I find myself more settled in my fears and my worries and my anxieties than in my faith. This child of God is something that we often can experience in our humanity, when what we know in our spirits often has a difficult time resonating in our minds when we are trapped in our emotions. We must intentionally choose the stance that despite what the situation may look like, I too can say with boldness, "Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness." I resonate with David. Maybe you resonate with David. He was experiencing anxiety and responded by reminding himself of God's goodness. How will we choose to respond? Will we remain confident in God? Will we stay with him despite what it looks like? Now you may be saying at home, "Dr. Lady, but that's King David. You know, the one who killed Goliath, he ruled a nation, his bloodline birthed Jesus Christ. Of course he can remain confident." But let me also remind you that this is the same David whose life was constantly in danger, had a dysfunctional family, he struggled with mental uneasiness and distress. So this mighty man of God, after God's own heart, had a lot he struggled through, but he remained confident. He remained certain, assured, full of conviction, and excessively bold. That is not to say that difficult things won't happen. Let us not forget that we recently marked a year since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've experienced a traumatic socio-political climate in which Black and brown bodies have been targeted. Unemployment rates are skyrocketing, and there is an increase of violence in our city. We too have a lot that we're experiencing, but I stand here today encouraging all of us to remain confident. Confident in what, you might be asking? Confident in God's goodness, in his promises, in his character, and in his track record. Faith, as we know, is trust based on what we know of God in the face of uncertainty. Amid danger, David took his worries to God and trusted that the Lord would be victorious and fight on his behalf. He believed in God's promises. So what are we choosing to believe today? Who are we choosing to take our worries to? So the question still remains, but what does it mean to actually have confidence in God? It means that we're not just wishing or hoping God is going to act on our behalf. It's that we expect and are certain that he will. It's not merely wishful thinking. Our certainty is based on God's revelation of himself. What exactly does confidence in God look like? Number one, first, surrendering. We must surrender our uncertainty, our fears, our need for control, our desire to predict the outcome. We surrender to the one who knows the beginning from the end. For David to turn to God in dark times, he had to trust him. Trust requires more than just thinking about God. Trust requires us to surrender, living with the assurance that God is in control, not us. Second, in order to have confidence in God, we must decide who and what we will believe. Will we believe the report of our five senses, what we see with our natural eyes and hear with our natural ears? Will we believe based on the limited amount of knowledge that we have about the circumstance? Will we believe the report around us or our situations? Ask yourself today, whose report do I believe, and does it strengthen my confidence in God? And finally, to have confidence in God, we must remember that God's way is best. Many of us may have responded to painful experiences saying to ourselves, but I can't bear what I'm going through. I thought God promised us a way of escape. In fact, yes, he did. But sometimes in our humanity, we don't like the way that he's chosen for us to take. He said in his word that his ways are not like our ways. And sometimes we suffer longer when we fail to follow his way of escape, seeking out our own. This leads us further down roads of disappointment and despair. So remember, God's way is best. During times of perplexity and trials, David had confidence in God and believed that he would uphold him and would permit him to see the evidence of his goodness and mercy while yet on this earth. He may have had some special assurance of it, or he may have had a deep internal conviction of it, sufficient to calm his mind. But whatever was the source of his confidence is what sustained him. So, beloved, I leave you with this. Remain confident in God. Despite how we feel, he's still good. Anchor your confidence in God because he never changes. He's never out of control. He's never taken by surprise. He never loses. Our circumstances do not affect our mighty God, but allow our God to affect our circumstances mightily. He never missteps. His ability to function is never overloaded. Trust that he has a plan for your life and that he has the resources to make it happen the way he intends. Thank you for tuning in to Compassion's Morning Meditation. We are here every morning at 7 a.m.